Hey mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're well and I hope you're having a great day. So as you can see in today's video, we're going to make a lot of progress. We're going to get the front end fitted on, get the closing panels fitted underneath the scuttle. So it's quite an action-filled episode today. So I won't waffle on too much. Let's get stuck into it and let's get this front end fitted on. Right then, welcome back. Where did we get to last time? We need to put these closing panels in. To be honest, they are not a great fit. Obviously we need to do a fair bit of fettling, so let me get the hammer and dolly out, a few pairs of mould grips, and see if I can get that to fit better. So I'll be back in a moment. Hey mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're all having a great day. So, bit of an odd camera angle, a bit of up scuttle action for you here. So just spraying the inside of that cavity with a bit of hammerite in body colour. You're never going to see inside there again, but the hammerite offers a good bit of protection. It's nice and quick. The only thing is it does take a while to dry, but once this is all welded up, I'll go in there and cavity wax it all as well, so it should be very well protected. As I mentioned, the panel doesn't fit very well at all, so quite a bit of fettling there to get the panel fitted nicely. But it is up inside the inner wing underneath the scuttle, so you're never going to see it. So just plug welding up inside there. I did start cleaning the welds up, and then I thought to myself, a bit of a waste of time really, because you're never going to see them. Now I think I'm on my second bottle of gas in the MIG welder. So I use the mini MIG bottles, but I use the ones you can buy on eBay. I've linked them in the description before. They're 220 litre bottles. They're the mini MIG style, slightly bigger. They look like equivalent size of probably a 2 litre Coke bottle, but they're pressurised to 100 bar. So yeah, they must be 2.2 litres pressurised to 100 bar, so you get 220 litres of gas in there, which is good. I did work it out. It's good for about an hour and a half's worth of welding. And people have asked before how much gas flow I use. Because I'm welding indoors, I just set it on the lowest setting possible, just enough to give a bit of shielding, because obviously the bottles might last much longer. I think I usually set it to about 2 litres per hour, yeah, which would be an hour's continuous welding. Obviously, if you're welding outside and it's windy, then you need shielding gas delivered at a higher flow rate. But you can generally tell if you're welding and you finish the weld and you start to get like air in the weld, oxidisation, that means you haven't got enough shielding gas. So those high pressure mini MIG bottles, they work out about 35-40 pounds each if you buy them in a pair. Might even be slightly cheaper on eBay. So here I'm just welding up that A pillar. Big gap because I cut it too wide.
Right, so there are closing panels in both sides. Hopefully, like you saw in the video, it takes a bit of fettling to get them right. But yeah, pretty pleased. There's a little bit of an overhang there. I'm just going to leave that. That's underneath the wing. This corner, there's a gap. I think that might be intentional, but I'm not going to block it up anyway, because if you get condensation forming on the inside of there, you want some way for it to get out. So that's the lowest point, so that should drip out of that corner if there's any condensation. I've also welded up the seam in here. Probably really hard to see because it's got epoxy primer on now, but that's obviously just roughly sanded back. The profile is about right. It will just want to skim a filler over there. And this is obviously the other side, a bit darker over this side. This side was actually easier, it fitted nicer. Obviously, oh, I don't know whether I will seam seal them actually. No, I won't, because if I seam seal under there, it's probably a bit of a moisture trap and will keep moisture inside. So, I've got the door back on as well, just to check that. That's fine. Next thing I think we need to do is get it off this jig. I mean, this has been really, really useful. I don't think we're going to have to use that anymore. It's been useful. Oh, trip over the chair. It's been useful because I've just been able to get the whole body up higher, and it gives a bit more access than if the subframe's in there. And obviously on the ramps at the back, when I was doing the seals and that, it made the work a little bit easier. So we need to get that out, get the back down again. We need to get the subframe. I need to get the subframe back in, so I'm probably not going to strip it any further. I'll put that back in, put the wheels on. I need to put the steering rack back in just to keep the wheels lined up. And then we are ready to get the front end welded on. So let's get cracking. Right, there we go then. That's the subframe back in. I've got to be honest, I really do struggle on my own when it's just me in the workshop and I'm trying to do stuff like fitting subframes in, lifting the body up off the old jig and that. It's really, really hard work, but we got there in the end. So let me turn round. So obviously that's the subframe all in there. It's all looking quite nice and complete on the front here. There is still lots to do though. That subframe will all have to come out again, and it's all got to be obviously cleaned up, powder coated and everything like that, and all the bushes, and be fully refurbished. I put the rack in just to keep the wheels parallel with each other. So yeah, that's all good. There's old Mark's, there's Mark's old jig down there. That, like I say, was really, really useful. So now, really, it's just getting the front end on. Let's get the panels out the loft and let's start playing around and have a look. I'm really excited about this. Right, so there we go. They're all our heritage panels, all brand new. I can't remember when I bought them, back in October, I think. Yeah, so let's get the mole grips out and see if it all lines up.
So front end going on, very, very exciting. I got a bit carried away. I did go out in the garage just to fit the closing panels and film that. And then I thought I'd get the panels out the loft, have a look, and then yeah, just got a bit carried away, which is good. It went together quite nicely. Obviously this is just mocking it up at the moment. watching this just reminds me, actually, I must get on eBay in a minute and order up some more mole grips. I think I mentioned in the video you can never have enough pairs of mole grips when you're fitting a front end. I remember the first time I'd done a front end and I found it really daunting, and I think it's a little bit scary. You do see lots of minis where the front end's been fitted really poorly, the gap's really bad, especially usually around the wings and the scuttle panel. And I guess some of it is down to non-genuine panels, but I used non-genuine panels on the budget Project Bruce, and they fitted okay. They did take a little bit more fettling. It was mainly the front panel which needed playing around with a bit, but I managed to get good panel gaps on that. So it does amaze me sometimes when you see some front ends and they've got just awful panel gaps. I mean, like I mentioned, I've fitted a few front ends now, and it's not that bad. Don't be too worried about it. Just take your time and play around. The only thing I would say be careful about, and I did this on the Project Bruce, was you can see me there with, it's a dead blow hammer actually, where I'm just tapping the wings about to get them in the right places. Just be careful, because every tap is potentially a dent in the wing which you've got to sort out later. So I did actually dent the wings on Project Bruce and had to put a skim of filler in some certain areas. But using something like a dead blow hammer like that, or a rubber mallet, obviously you've got to hit it pretty hard to cause some damage. Again, as I've mentioned in previous videos, so pretty much the only part of the front end of the car there that's original is that bonnet, and I drilled the hinges and everything has been lined up around the bonnet so far. So the bonnet does move around a little bit obviously, but it is my reference point for fitting the front end. Sweatshirts off. I'm used to sort of working on the minis during the winter, but obviously this one's going at a slower pace, and yeah, it was quite a warm day. I say quite warm, it's probably only about 14-15 degrees, but warm enough. You did see me previously, I had the angle grinder out of a cutting disc there. So what I'd done, the inner wing, where I'd welded in new bits of metal, I'd actually come out a little bit too far forward with them, so I had to just trim up a bit. Now what I'm doing here with the jack, I didn't actually have any tear drop rubbers for the front which go between the front of the subframe and the front panel. So I was just jacking it up to make sure the holes lined up okay. That it wasn't completely lined up, I did have to jack up a bit to get it centralised, but I would just bear in mind that the subframe is in on solid mounts at the moment, which it won't be when the car is built up. So when it's on rubber mounts, there will be far more sort of movement in the subframe to get it lined up at the front there. So I'm not overly worried that it doesn't line up perfectly, because like I say, when it's on rubber mounts, there's far more movement there to get it right.
Right, it's on. Didn't take too long, wasn't too bad to be honest. A little bit of fettling, as is always the case. I did try doing it a different way. I started out by trying to mount the wings on the front panel first, but nah, it doesn't seem to work like that. How many front ends have I done now? Not that many, 2 or 3, can't remember, maybe 4. So at this stage, it's about getting the gaps roughly right. They don't have to be perfect at this stage. It will be perfect when you go to weld it on. But as you can see, pretty pleased with that gap. All the edges, I just spray a little bit of primer over, just because it helps you see the gap better. When it's all black, you can't really see the gap. So a bit of primer helps, and you can write on the primer afterwards. So I leave markings there so I know where to line up with, or I know where it was previously. I've left a note for myself, so if possible, when it comes to final fit, I want to try and move that in 1 to 2 millimeters. Down the front here, all looking good. Gaps down the front of the bonnet, fine. The front of the bonnet lines up okay and follows the profile fine. You do have to be careful with the mole grips when you're clamping on the inside of it, because you can damage the edge and it will show. And obviously this side, so again on this side, if possible, when it comes to final fit, you can see it's quite close there. I do just need to try and move it that way, 1 to 2 mil, 2 mil maximum. But again, gaps are looking good all the way around. And then up around this side of the wing, so that's all. I mean, these gaps, that's a beautiful gap there. Maybe wants closing up a little bit, but it's pretty good. A panels I'm not too worried about at the moment, because you can do lots of adjustment on the doors and that sort of thing. And I know I need to trim back from where I fitted the what's it called, the flitch panel. So yes, A panel still wants some work, but I'm not too worried about that. There's plenty you can do with an A panel to get it right. But yeah, it's pretty good. I just went round and I just used little self tappers to hold it all in place for the moment while you're getting everything lined up. Always seem to have a problem. Every Mini I've ever done, you always seem to have a problem getting this back end of the wing in far enough. You're limited because obviously that's stopping you from going in any further. So you'll see me at the beginning, I was banging that out a little bit because the lip tends to get in the way. But you always seem to have a problem getting this top end of the wing in far enough. The only other thing I haven't done, because I cannot find them, is I've not fitted the subframe mounts yet. But when I look through the holes, it doesn't quite line up perfectly, but the whole lot moves anyway. It's not going to be a problem. When I come to final weld, fit the front on, I'll make sure I've got my subframe mounts to fit. So yeah, really pleased. Good bit of work done today, and yeah, massive bit of progress there. So thanks for watching this week. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to give it a thumbs up if you did. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. There's videos coming every week, and if you want to drop me a comment, please do. I read all the comments. Thanks for viewing again this week, and catch you again on the next one. Bye.